to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that.
Part of America being great is that it's growing and creating more wealth for everyone. If the people in Greenland want to be part of us, if we can use those resources better and make sure Russia and China don't get advantages in the Arctic, that sounds great to me. But you see what I'm saying? The aesthetic is very important. The core idea of being pro-growth, of building in the world,
pro-growing the physical size of the country. That's something different than economic growth. It's not the same sort of growth.
No, but it's a frontier mindset. It's taking new possibilities. It's creating new things.
But Joe, if everyone thought that, we just, we're talking. What are we talking? We're talking like early 20th century. Everybody's going to be at it. It's going to be wars all over the place if that happens.
No, I think the way it works is the most competent things grow, the things that are functional grow. I think America, our poorest states, sadly, near us, Louisiana and West Virginia, are much wealthier, unfortunately, at this point per capita than Britain because we've been run much better the last 30 years. The competent places should grow and should help create growth. And if Greenland wants a partner, be part of that, that's a functional thing for the world.
Well, what do you make of that?
Amazing.
Trump does want Greenland.
We need to take this incredibly seriously. It's very easy to try and think that this is some kind of, madness. And it is on one level, but it is deeply serious too.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I got to tell you guys, Trump has put the world on notice that the United States of America on January 20th is back. Okay, we're back in our bag. And President Trump has triggered a whole lot of people with his ambitious plans to acquire new territory for the United States of America. Something we haven't done in a long time. Maybe something we should get back to. I don't know. Right? With Greenland and the Panama Canal. In the case of the Panama Canal, taking back the Panama Canal after Jimmy Carter essentially gave it away. Should have never lost control of it in the first place. Because let's be real. We built it. Panama wouldn't be benefiting from it unless we helped them gain independence from Colombia back in 1903. Spearheaded by Teddy Roosevelt, which, again, I think that is what Trump is channeling here. He's channeling his Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, one of my favorite presidents, something I've mentioned in past videos. I absolutely love Teddy Roosevelt, right? And that's why I'm kind of warming up more to this. I'm like, okay, Trump is getting in his Teddy Roosevelt bag. But anyways, that's besides the point. Okay, we helped Panama gain independence from Colombia, okay? And in exchange, we got to build the Panama Canal, and we controlled it until Jimmy Carter gave it away, okay? And now we feel like we should take it back because we should be benefiting more, and we should not allow China and other countries to have control and to benefit too much from something that we built, okay? It's ours, okay? And Trump is saying we should take it back, which low-key I kind of agree with, to be honest with you, okay? But when it comes to Greenland, that is what people are talking about the most, okay? Because I actually think there's a somewhat decent chance, okay? I'm not saying it's more than 50%, but there's a decent chance that this could happen, okay? If Trump is really, really, really serious, we could see the United States of America acquire Greenland. And one of the reasons why I am warming up to this idea, okay, I was 50-50 on this idea, but I'm warming up to it. And one of the reasons why I'm warming up to it is because I love the fact that Trump is being honest about why he wants to acquire Greenland. And he's not lying like most politicians, right? When most politicians come out and tell us why we're going to war or why we want to acquire some new territory or, overthrow some dictator, they lie about it. They say, oh, well, it's because democracy, because these people need saving, right? And they're going to view us as liberators. We're going to come in and promote democracy and yada, yada, yada. A load of garbage, right? A complete load of garbage and lies, okay? But they have to do that in order to justify to the masses why we're doing something that they otherwise wouldn't agree with, okay? But me, on the other hand, okay, being a realist, I understand the real reason why we fight these wars. The real reason is resources, okay? In the case of Greenland, Greenland has a ton of resources, natural resources that we can take advantage of. There's also strategic military interests, considering the fact that allegedly the Arctic is melting, which is going to open up more trade routes and also presents a national security threat, particularly from Russia and China. Okay, Trump wants to acquire Greenland or has interest in Greenland for the same reason that past presidents have had interest in Greenland. This is not a new conversation. Okay, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the god of the progressive movement, had interest in Greenland. In fact, he went out of his way to establish military bases in Greenland in order to prevent German control of Greenland during World War II. Harry Truman had interest in Greenland as well, too. In fact, he offered Denmark $100 million in 1946 to acquire Greenland. Dwight D. Eisenhower also had interest in Greenland. So, again, this is not a new thing. And a lot of people are saying, well, how is this America first? Okay, how is this going to help America? Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Okay, when you look at the natural resources that Greenland has, like, for example, the oil reserves, I mean, we're talking about almost 40 billion barrels of oil that is untapped, right? Currently untapped. You don't think that helps out the American people, right? You don't think that's putting America first, okay? If we can get access to these resources. Yeah, I'm just saying, right? I don't think it's a bad idea for the good of America as a whole to acquire Greenland at the right price, okay? And there are some people who understand it, and there are some people who don't understand it.
So I just sent Nick a thing. So I started to learn a little bit more about why he wants to take over Greenland. And it really comes down to one very basic idea here. Because of climate change and other things, the Arctic ice shelf is melting. And the more and more it melts, it opens up a shipping lane in the Northern Passage for a lot of critical goods. And so if you had some sort of strategic agreement with Canada and Greenland, you effectively have this monopoly control over something that could become as important as the Panama Canal. And so I think if you look across the world, the control of maritime shipping lanes becomes this really critical strategic military and economic asset. And so the reason why he's trying to find a way to initiate some sort of a discussion between Greenland and Canada is exactly this reason. And I think it's sort of like a bargaining gambit, the way that he started, but it's really smart that he's trying to get this done for the United States of America. Because meanwhile, what you have is China militarizing very aggressively, Russia militarizing very aggressively, and what you don't want to have happen is those two countries take control of that Northern Passage as the ice sheet melts. So I just thought that was important.
Having a capable business executive thinking about the future of business and shipping and logistics, pretty big win. And I just love the idea, Cyan.
You know what's smart? I mean, let's give Trump credit. What's so smart is like somebody was doing this work,
yes,
got it in front of him,
yeah,
and he was smart enough to say, hold on a second, this is really important.
Let me tweet it.
And then the way that he initiates it, though, gets even more attention, because if he basically tweeted, hey guys, I have this really interesting idea to gain more leverage in a northern maritime shipping lane, nobody would have paid attention.
Absolutely not.
Nobody would have. And now we're all talking about it. And now there's an opportunity for millions of people to understand why and be supportive of it.
Yeah, Trump is thinking like a businessman, which is why I support Trump, is because we need a businessman in office thinking about how to help the United States maintain its economic dominance, okay, and military dominance as well, too. You have to be thinking 10, 20, 30, 40 years ahead, okay? We can already see what's happening around Greenland and in the Arctic. We know that this is going to be a national security threat. We know that Greenland has a ton of natural resources. All right, maybe we should get ahead of this before it becomes a problem, okay? And while we have an opportunity to acquire a strategic asset. Now, again, the mainstream liberal media, they laugh, they kiki ha-ha. Progressives, they kiki ha-ha as well, too. Oh, it's a distraction, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is when Trump talks, the world moves, okay? And what people are going to learn about Trump is that Trump is like Thanos, right? He is inevitable, right? And lo and behold, you have the prime minister of Greenland now coming out and saying, Mr. Trump, we're ready to talk, right? We want independence from Denmark. We are ready to talk. We're ready to talk. Let's sit down at the table and have some negotiations, even though we don't really want to be a part of the U.S., but we want to talk.
Vi vil ikke være danskere, vi vil ikke være amerikanere, vi vil selvfølgelig være grønlændere. Og selvfølgelig er det den grønlandske folk, som bestemmer deres fremtid. Det tror jeg, der er en fælles forståelse for. Og at bygge frem til det, er også det, som alle burde have respekt for. Og selvfølgelig er der mange ting, som der foregår i verden. Det er en foranderlig verden. For 3-4 år siden har vi nok ikke troet, at vi var her. Og det problemstillinger, vi har i dag, ikke var gældende.
Har du været i kontakt med Donald Trump, den kommende amerikanske præsident?
Nej, men vi er klar til at snakke sammen. Jeg tror, vi begge to er klar til at øge dialogen og række ud, og dermed også snakke om de ting, der samler os i den verden, vi lever.
Yeah, so that is Greenland Prime Minister Múte Egede. Now, again, I don't know how to pronounce the dude's name, so, I mean, I know there'll be people in the comment section saying I pronounce it wrong, but I don't know, okay? I'm just saying, what I do know is that it started off as, oh, this will never happen, this is not a thing, blah, 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 blah. Now, all of a sudden, it's, well, we're ready to talk, right? We're ready to talk. People are going to learn very quickly that, again, Trump is inevitable, okay? He's inevitable. So, with that being said, let's learn a little bit more about why Trump wants to acquire Greenland.
President Trump has been talking a lot about his neighbors recently, talking about acquiring Canada and the Panama Canal and Greenland. Well, I don't think that Canada and the Panama Canal need to think too much about the change in relations with the United States. But what he said about Greenland is of some interest, because he's not the first American president to think about buying Greenland from Denmark, which technically owns it. American presidents thought about it in 1867, in 1910, again in 1946. And during President Trump's first term in 2016, he niggled away at this issue to the point where it became a real major spat between the United States and Denmark. So this idea doesn't come off the back of nothing. And you can see why. If you look at a map of Greenland in relation to the Arctic, you can see the importance of it. There's the Arctic Circle. And so the nations that border the Arctic Circle are Greenland, Canada, the United States through Alaska, and Russia, and then, of course, some of the Scandinavian states of Europe. It's becoming a much more sensitive area, partly because the famous Northwest Passage, which has been closed for the whole of human history by Arctic ice, is now beginning to open up because of global warming. And that Northwest Passage moves that way round. So that's important. Then, too, there are all of the minerals in Greenland, so it's a big issue. If the Greenlanders want independence, which they do, it is possible that the United States might try to subsidize that independence in return for some privileges in security and economic terms. Denmark won't like it, but some people in Washington and maybe in Nuuk, the capital of Greenland, are beginning to think that way.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely beginning to think that way. That's why the prime minister says he's ready to talk. And who cares about what Denmark thinks, right? Who are they? Who are they? Right? I'm just saying, nobody cares about what they think. What really matters here is that, hey, this is of strategic and economic interest, and Trump is thinking ahead. And hey, we might not necessarily outright acquire Greenland, okay, as a territory, but hey, if, they're willing to play ball and we help them gain independence, we could get some economic and strategic advantages out of it. And I think that's what Trump's head is at, right? So I think that's what people got to understand. What Trump doing this is him putting America first, right? We've already talked about the border, okay? The Republicans right now are currently debating and talking about the domestic economic package that's coming. All that stuff is coming, right? All of that stuff is coming. We've already talked about it. It's coming, okay? But you got to understand that foreign policy is important, and Trump is thinking ahead. And yes, this is putting America first. And again, what I really love about this is the fact that Trump's not lying, right? He's not lying to me about why he wants it. He's not saying we're trying to get them independence and promote democracy. A lie. He's not doing that. He's flat out telling the truth and say, yeah, we want it because of, military interests and natural resources, economic interests. And I'm totally fine with you telling me the truth. You tell me the truth, I can evaluate, okay, is this something worth doing? Okay. And we're not taking about military force. Well, at least that's what people think. Trump hasn't necessarily ruled that out, but I don't think that's realistic, at all. Okay. But regardless, I'm just saying, if it can be acquired peacefully, okay, or we can get access, to Greenland and what we want in a peaceful way. And if it doesn't cost too much, then, it's an opportunity for Trump to make a historic move. And it really would solidify him as the greatest president of the 21st century. I mean, let's be real. I think that's what Trump is looking for here, right? He is looking to be the greatest president of the 21st century, maybe one of the greatest presidents in American history, right? Deserving of being put on Mount Rushmore. And this is a Mount Rushmore type of move. It is, right? So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.